Our next speaker will be Caroline Mutahanamawila Mchome. She is a lawyer working under the Tanzanian Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism at the National Museum of Tanzania. She studied human rights in The Hague and holds an MA from the Brandenburg Technical University in Cottbus in World Heritage. She submitted her thesis in 2013 entitled Enhancing Conversation by Sharing Heritage Benefits of Cultural Objects Beyond Borders. In her long way of participation for this cause, she participated in the return of the Mchome mask from Switzerland to Tanzania in 2010. Today she's here as our expert talking on the subject of sharing cultural objects beyond borders. Please welcome Ms. Mchome.
My name is Caroline Mutahanamilwa Mchome. Small point of correction on the year which I submitted my master's thesis. It is 2015 and not 2013. I'm here to talk about sharing the benefits of cultural objects beyond borders. What is a cultural object? That's a simple question, but the answers might be right or wrong depending on who is giving that interpretation. But simply, we can say that the cultural object can be defined in many terms, but simply means an object made by a person, which can be referred to belong to a certain community, basing on skills used, materials, style, meaning of that object, and the meaning also can base on person who made it, the qualification of that person, the status before the community, etc. So that object can be called cultural object of certain community. And they differ from area to area or community to community, basing on the material used and maybe the styles too. All connotes certain meaning to it. These cultural objects, do they have any value? Yes, they do. They have monetary value, and the big value to those cultural objects is the intrinsic value. Coming to the monetary value, if to be sold in a normal standard the decision of pressing a price to an object, one looks at the material used and also how it looks like. But when you go to intrinsic value, there are a lot to be observed to reach the conclusion that this is of high value or not, as far as your culture is concerned. For example, when was the object found or made? The material used? Is it a rare material found on top of high mountains maybe? And maybe the one who is to go and fetch those material are supposed to have certain qualifications. For example, a girl under 14 years to do that early in the morning and to be escorted by a woman, something like that. All those things add to the value of that material, as you say, intrinsic value. Again, the usage of that object also, that is to be displayed when maybe the chief is addressing the elders only, and it can be only in the night or only in the morning. So all those kind of conditions make it to be of value to the community at hand. Cultural objects outside the country of origin. We all know that number of countries which were earlier colonized by different countries like those under the German, the British, etc. Their cultural objects were taken to those countries, and many are put in museums. Some of them are displayed and some of them are not displayed. But coming to those which are displayed, for example, if you go to the British Museum, you find the very, very valuable cultural objects form part of that museum. For example, we have an Olduvai stone chopping tool. The proper pronunciation of Olduvai is Oldupai, but those who started writing these words they decided to put V instead of P. Maybe the pronunciation was not clear to them, etc. But when you go to Maasai people, those who are staying in Olduvai, they tell you it is Oldupai. So Oldupai chopping stone tool, this one is one of the oldest objects in the world, but it is the oldest object human-made in British Museum. So the first oldest object made by using hands is this chopping tool. And it is part of the 100 objects found at the British Museum, which talks about the world 2 million years back. That means with all the objects within the British Museum, they chose 100 objects to talk the history of the world in different arenas. So Olduvai stone chopping tool is the second one. The third is the Olduvai hand axe. The story behind this hand axe is that this is when man started to make things in a shape. As you see, the first one was just there to make sure that the use is satisfactory, no matter how the shape of the object is, the size. But with the second one, shaping, how to carry it and to use it, you see the way it looks like. And number 60 in that objects, which are in the list of 100 at British Museum, also came from Tanzania. And these are Kilwa pot sheds. These are found in Kilwa Kisiwani, which is also a natural World Heritage Site, near the natural World Heritage Site of Kilwa and Songomnara. And these pots are believed to have been made about AD 1000 to 1500. This connotes the presence of people from different parts of the world who traded in East Africa coastal areas. You find that there are some pale green porcelain pieces from China, dark green and blue pieces from Persian Gulf, and brown and glazed were from East Africa. They mark the development of Swahili. Yeah, the other picture down there is about what is shown in the museums. We believe that the objects displayed in the museum since those days can be regarded as ambassadors of the community where they come from. So looking at what is displayed here at the cabinets of Museum Fulvokakunde in Hamburg in 1905 up to 1910, it shows that this society, this community is a warrior community, because all of what is there is the tools to fight, spears, shields, etc. Nothing to show that these people have got the leisure life. There is no drums here. A few things like a decoration, but decoration, the warrior decorations. So this is what happened in early days in these museums. In addition to that, when you go to the history of museum, it used to be the belief that the museums are there for education purposes. But nowadays things have changed. Most of the museums are there for business. We can say for business, and partly, of course, education and research still continue. But the research these days, you have to pay for it. So it is somehow an income-generating tool. Contribution of country of origin, as far as the objects which are outside the country of origin are concerned. Going to Naturkunde Museum, you find that there are dinosaurs, most of them coming from Tanzania. All these 3 dinosaurs which are seen here, they're from Tanzania. You find that there is the largest standing fossil, dinosaur Branchialis branchi. This one is the largest standing fossil of dinosaur in the world, and it has got a Guinness record. It is in the Guinness book. There is another one, you see there is Kentosaurus. The species is quite different, not seen in any part of the world. As you see, it has horns, which until now the researchers are still researching to know whether it was for defense mechanism, as a tool, or maybe for breathing purposes. It is not clear. And the third one, Rhotosaurus. This one seemed to be the fastest dinosaur which happened to be in the world. Looking at this, you find that those dinosaurs are there, but now they are somehow a big attraction at Naturkunde Museum, if not Berlin or Germany. Most of the people, when they visit museums, especially when they talk of natural history museums, they talk of seeing this fossil. How did this fossil come to the Naturkunde Museum? It is our fellow natives who worked towards getting it there. As you can see, they're there digging to get all the bones, labeling them, and putting them into different storage so that they're ready for being shipped to Germany. So even the means of boxes or storage facilities were created using their indigenous knowledge, as you see, only to find that these days the same object is having the certificate of Guinness World Record, and those who are benefiting from whatever are those who are with that museum and not the country of origin. Apart from that, sharing benefits beyond borders is also by sharing the right information and showing level of artwork. There are objects which are displayed, which they even not follow the procedure for displaying the object. And that one is because we don't share information. Under ICOM, you're not allowed to display an object without proper information about that object, meaning what is the name of that object, where did you obtain, it is made of which material, which year, and maybe it belongs to which community. So you can find that in some of the museums here in Berlin, for example, this first mask here, it is written Mwera Oder Makonde. So this word order can be out if we share the information so that we can tell you what community does this mask belong to. And this can only be done by those who are from that area. So a lot of things are there displayed with the information which is not proper, and that is not the right way, because people are coming there to learn that this community produced this, because of that, and if you put like or on it, that's not the way, especially these days whereby we have different ways of communicating and putting the right thing. So the same with these sandals. It is from Kenya or Tanzania, the Swahili people, because we have Swahili people in Tanzania and even in Kenya. In addition to that, you see the two pipe. These are still in the kellers. They're not seen. They only being displayed during the exhibition. Going to the legal protection of these objects, I've realized that there is a special protection to the objects which are displayed in the exhibition. Apart from exhibition being a good source of income generating to the museum people, also it's the area whereby the objects which lack the qualification to be displayed in the museum are seen. This is because there the correct information is not necessary. In addition to that, the special protection which I talk there is about the legal protection whereby whoever sees that object and says, this is my object which was stolen, is not allowed to touch it or to start any jargon in order to return it, unless that object has finished the job of being there as an exhibit and returned to the place where it was. So you can see that it's not easy to see it when it is in the keller. You can only see it in the exhibition, but you're not allowed to touch it. And it is the law of the land which protects it, not the private person who holds it there. That is in this country. It is also the same in UK, but in France, they just leave the private people to work on it in case you find such an object. So you see the different treatment from different countries as far as these objects which, quote unquote, seem to be taken not in the right manner, the way they are protected. And this is because if that object has already been registered in any register, be it under the museum, private museum, or public museum, the same object is protected, the fact that it has been registered. So the government of the country has to take care of it as far as its security is concerned. When we talk of benefit. The benefit is in different mode. There are tangible and intangible benefits. When we talk of tangible benefits, you see here there is a chair of the Doi chief. This was stolen. I can say it was stolen because if one says that I just found it, you cannot find the chief chair just like that lying. That means somebody was there, you said move or something happened to that person and then you took the chair. And that chair is not displayed because you have to say how you got it, whether donated or what. Even the word donated has a lot in it, because if it is donated by governor to the country, what does it mean? Yeah. So that style of the chair has been imitated in the Daremdorf. That means the skills also move from what they have in their hands. As you see, Daremdorf, the chairs have got that similar style, though modified. But again, the tangible benefits is the cash obtained from having the cultural objects. There I show the glass box, which is at the British Museum, whereby after going around the museum, seeing all the objects, seeing the world in 2 hours or 3 hours, you come satisfied and decide to put something. But the donation here is at least £5, and £5 is a lot. So if it is £5, then 5, 10, 20, etc. So they don't have fee, but this is how they collect a lot of money, because it depends a person, how satisfied is that person is. Some of them, by seeing old Dubai, a stone that is something of 200 million years, etc., decides to put maybe 50 or 20 euro, and others put 5. But other museums, you have to pay entrance fee. And in addition to that, when it is exhibition, the payment is high. But not only that, a lot of benefits are incurred to the community whereby that museum is situated. For example, the surrounding community, they enjoy by having different kinds of employments, and they gain through income-generating activities. The business community in that area enjoys by providing services like hotel and transport, and at times interpreters and tour guides. The shops selling mementos, etc. And in addition to that, of course, relationship and cultural intervention. The government at large also enjoy, because those people won't enter the country without paying the visa. And in other countries, visa is a big business. We Africans, we make a comparison. For example, if I'm told tomorrow you have to prepare yourself for the trip to UK to do this, and then trip to Germany for this and that reason. If you have to do the choice and you have to pay yourself, you'll choose Germany because the visa of UK is very, very high. So you can see those benefits, whether you are coming for research or for what you have to pay for the visa. So if the visa is high, that means the government at large enjoys that chunk of money. What about a resident permit for someone who is going there for research or to work in those museums, and the relatives accompanying him? What about the students? And all these things are money. Is it 9 already? Yep. Yeah. Return of cultural object. The return of cultural object is one of the very, very difficult things. That exercise is really tiresome, and at times when especially it goes under the diplomatic angle, it becomes more expensive. We have heard of Nefertiti. The Egyptian tried since almost more than 60, 70 years to return that object back, but it is still difficult. We hear about the Parthenon marble. We hear about the Bronx. Tanzania experienced about this Makonde mask. The Makonde mask was stolen from our museum in almost 22 years ago. We reported in all the authorities within the country. We even went to follow through the procedures under UNESCO. That is, you report to ICOM, you report to UNESCO. You go even further by reporting the thing to the Interpol. But later on, this object was found at the Babia Museum, the private museum in Switzerland. And the one who found it was the professor from Italy who made a research in Tanzania. So he had that 17 artifacts were stolen, and one of it is this Makonde mask. So he told them, this is a Makonde mask from Tanzania, and it was stolen. So this is a stolen object. So by ICOM procedure, they had to put it in shelf and reported to the authorities, which is ICOM and UNESCO, and to us. So we told them, this has been stolen, and only remedy is for you to return this to us. They said, no, this is our object. We bought it in the auction in Paris. So we started the debate on how to bring it back. They put a number of conditions. It took 20 years, and then the government surrendered. And once we saw the information about it, we said, let us start it, and we managed to get it in Paris, 10th May of 2010. So Tanzania, for succeeding in returning this cultural object, it is one of the 6 countries which managed since then to get back their object. You can see how difficult it is. So we are in the list, at least for this Makonde mask. There are many, and this Makonde mask is part of it. As I said, we are going with intrinsic value. Otherwise, one will say, what is this? Yeah. Another good report on return of cultural object is this tooth of Chief Mkwawa, which we see here in the golden cage. This tooth was taken by Von Prince, the governor who was there in Tanzania during Mkwawa's death. What happened when they ordered for the Mkwawa head to be taken to Germany, he decided to steal this tooth and made the family seal. So that is a family seal of Von Prince. So he had it for years, and the family had it as their private property, family property. But one of them said, no, this is not the right thing. This is not for us. This is not obtained in a good manner, so we have to return it. So she fought, and she managed to return to us voluntarily in 2014. So that made us to know that it is not true that all Germans are not good for us. It is not true that the government also is not that much willing, but it depends who is there sitting on the information and decision. Because as you see, when individual starts to bring in, especially something like this valuable, which they stayed with it for 106 years with golden cage, then you can see that there are some who are good, and with all the negotiations and information sharing, something can happen. So let us share beyond borders the benefits of cultural objects to enhance conservation and preserve world communities' cultures. This can easily be achieved by sharing information in all the files pertaining to those objects. There are a number of files which are found, and the good thing with Germany, they are very good at keeping records. This, I've observed it. They keep record, and at times I can say they even forget or don't know what is in their records, because at times you can be given the file, and if you get an interpreter, you'll be shocked that, is she sure that this information is for me? Yeah. Hope you understand. Yeah, so let us share information in all files pertaining those objects, and also by opening the remaining boxes, which are still kept in museums, shelves, stores, and storage facilities in general, like cellars. Let us open those boxes, because in those objects we might find the ending part of our dinosaur. The big dinosaur there, the ending part is not of the same. And it is still believed that there are like 50 boxes not yet opened of the dinosaur remains, you can imagine. And again, there are other objects like from different cultures, which are still also in the shelves. For example, you can find a museum with 1,500 objects, but only 3 or 5 being displayed, and the others are still there for lack of information. So let us share information and think of returning those objects which are not that much of value to you. As it has been said this morning, return, though not all. I can say that return those which you are sure that you did not obtain them generously, because we know there are some which were given to the leaders by our leaders, but again, let us look at that object, whether he had that authority to give it, because if you are giving the throne, that is not the right way. I can end up there by saying, Karibu Tanzania to witness the living beauty. As you see, Tanzania is the country with the 7 World Heritage Sites, which are cultural and natural. Welcome. Asante sana.